So in the last video, I animated this delicious stack of pancakes being made, and this time I'm going to show you how I brought the project from a sketch animation to a completed shot. To start off, I took the color keys that I made previously and I painted them all out into proper backgrounds in Photoshop. I'm of course leaving out all the elements of the shots that are going to be animated. I started off with the final shot, bringing my painted background into Blender as a plane. And in this grease pencil object, I am picking colors from my color key and making a bunch of materials for the syrup. And I'm going in frame by frame and filling the whole shape. Since this strawberry is going to move a little bit, I'm going to be drawing it out in grease pencil as well. It has its own set of layers so that I can lock all the other layers and move just the strawberry in edit mode. I'm trying to make sure that it matches up the style of the background as much as possible so it doesn't stand out too much. Once I was done filling in all the frames of the base of the syrup with some transparency added to the layer, I used my other materials to add patches of light and shade. I'm going for this cell shading look, which is where I have a base color and a slightly darker and a slightly lighter color for shadows and highlights. Starting out drawing my strawberry for the next shot. I had to pretty much redraw these mostly, but I could animate the wobble of the two halves as they settle with the rotate tool. And I also could make this slight squish of the strawberry at the beginning using the sculpt tool. I'm lining out the hand and filling it in. I'm also adding bits of shine on the strawberry with the airbrush tool. It's also set as a mask over the layers with the strawberry parts so that it doesn't affect any of the other parts of the drawing. I'm also adding shadows under all the moving parts of the scene, again with the airbrush tool and the blending mode this time set to multiply. The hand with the knife and all of its shading is a single drawing with no redrawing required, so I am just puppeting it by rotating it and moving it around from frame to frame. Since elements of the strawberry are overlapping with the knife, I duplicated the strawberry object and placed it in front of the knife, and then I erased all the parts that needed to be behind the knife in that object. The original strawberry shows behind the knife. Here it is behind all the other elements of the scene. Now we have our slice done. Now I'm lining the hand for the first shot. The sculpt tool can be super useful to fix lines that don't come out right the first time. Filling it in. The egg is its own layer that I'm just puppeting around so that it maintains its shape. Adding some shadows to it with a mask. I started to fill in the egg white with a slightly transparent material. The yolk is going to be opaque. Sculpting it a little bit to get that wobble at the end. I am exporting just the bowl from the background painting as a PNG with a transparent background for a neat overlap over the egg. And I'm placing this plane in front of the egg object. I am setting the blending mode of this plane to alpha hashed so that it overlaps the grease pencil objects properly. I'm adding some light and shadow to the yolk. I realized that the new bowl plane was overlapping the hand as well at the beginning, so I just animated it in the dope sheet to only appear in the camera after the hand animation is done. Perfect. Adding another layer to the egg white to add a little bit more shading to it, and I'm adding some highlights to it as well. I'm also adding a shadow mask over the whole hand to add some more interesting lighting to the shot. Alright, one more shot to go. Coloring the butter and fixing its shape with the sculpt tool. Adding some spots of shine on it. I'm filling in the melted butter on its own grease pencil object. And I'm also adding little oil bubbles to the edges of the pool of butter. I'm increasing the thickness of these lines in sculpt mode just to make them a little bit more visible. And now I'm adding a noise modifier over the melted butter object to make it jitter a little bit for that sizzle effect. Now for filling in the pancake. For that last bit, I'm just resizing the whole pancake in small increments and keyframing that. Now I'm filling in the stream of batter according to my sketches. Filling in the spoon on its own object. Some of the frames are redrawn of the spoon, while others are just puppeted. Drawing some batter on the spoon object as well. And I'm adding a little bit of shadow to the spoon. With another material slightly darker than the batter, I'm going to add some shadows to it. I'm adding some ripples to it with the shadows. And a slightly lighter material for some light. I'm also adding some leftover butter sizzle for the batter to pour into. I have another version of the background with a little bit of a dent in the batter to make it clear that this is a hard cut from the batter shot to the batter shot. I make it appear at the transition point between the two shots. Adding some shadows with the airbrush tool. I'm also adding some steam lifting up from the pancake batter. I drew it in with the airbrush tool and sculpted it a little bit, and then automatically added the frames in between with the interpolate option. I also added some lights to the scene. The fire was surprisingly easy to animate. I just drew in some flames using two transparent materials in two different shades of blue. And I added a noise modifier and the blur effect and the glow effect. And that's it, perfect. The animation for the fire is pretty much done for me automatically. Adding some lights to the other shots as well, and I'm animating them to flicker a bit to create the sense of light filtering through leaves outside. Adding a bit of a glint of this knife, and now that's pretty much done. Thanks for sticking around for this two-parter. This was certainly one of my favorite projects so far. Remember to leave a like and subscribe for more content. You can also join our Discord to hang out with us and other creatives. Also check out our website to see what we do. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.